Welcome back. This time we're talking about Wind River, the latest film written by Taylor Sheridan, who gave us Sicario and Hell or High Water. And this time he also directs the film as well, telling the story of a U.S. Fish and Wildlife agent, played by Jeremy Renner, who comes across the dead body of a young woman on a Native American reservation, becoming embroiled in the ensuing investigation, helping a relatively young FBI agent played by Elizabeth Olsen. Now, Sicario is one of my favorite films of 2015, but I honestly thought its weakest link was the script. So I was rather surprised when so much buzz blew up last year over Hell or High Water, the only Oscar Best Picture nominee I didn't see. And he was nominated for Best Screenplay, so obviously has improved. Here again, however, I felt like the weakest link was the script itself. I do want to say that Sheridan, who really only has one other directing credit before this one, directed a very well-made film. This does not look like a relatively newcomer directed it. He does a really good job of building the tension in the moments that we need to have it. There's just great shots, great use of the visual setting of this area, just the natural beauty of it, and really emphasizing the isolation, which is very important to this story. And he also gets some great performances from both Renner and Olsen. Really, the only other standout was veteran character actor Graham Greene, who plays the local police chief. And the fact that he's really the only other character that stood out to me brings me back towards the negatives and my problems with the script of this film. Now, in my reviews, I've typically tried to steer away from any discussion of racial casting or characters or anything like that. It's just, I want to talk about the movies themselves. But here, I feel like I do need to mention that it seemed pretty noticeable that none of the Native American characters in this movie, despite the fact that it's set on a Native American reservation, the victim of the crime was Native American, they really get no development whatsoever. And really, as the story progresses, the only people that actually do much of anything are our two leads, who just happen to both be white. Essentially, the majority of the Native American characters are there to react to our two leads or to be helped by our two leads. So it felt at best a missed opportunity, and at worst just, I don't know, it felt off to me. And I'm typically one that I try to not dive into these issues, but as I said, it just seemed very noticeable in this film. But beyond the racial implications of this, again, the characters just are not very well fleshed out. Leading to not a lot of empathizing about anybody other than, again, our two leads. These characters are just there to spat out some words so we can move on with this investigation, which leads me to the investigation itself. Not every crime thriller needs to be the mystery of the century. But when you get to the end of the film and you look back on what happened over the course of the film, the investigation is actually very straightforward. They do a few interviews, they get some potential clues, they follow those clues, and they get to the end. There's no real twists or turns, and I'm going to be very careful what I say because, again, I don't want to spoil things. There is a moment where you've been following the investigation, and then suddenly, and I will say, from a filmmaking standpoint, it was well handled. I've seen it done in other films, but it was a nice sort of unexpected moment in a film that really didn't have a lot of unexpected moments for me. But in any event, there's a moment, and all of a sudden we're suddenly thrust into an extended flashback sequence that basically tells us everything that happened. They do that because of the way the film resolves. There's not a grand mystery. It's essentially a crime was committed, and we get to see how that resolves. So there's no grand mystery behind all of this. So this may have been the best way to just give the audience the answers they needed. The problem is now suddenly the audience is much more informed than the characters themselves. And the mystery essentially is over, and we have more of a kind of an action thriller sequence to follow rather than the more mystery that had been developed over the course of everything we'd seen before. And finally, I'm going to be extremely vague on this, but it was something that did not occur to me until right before doing this video. I don't take notes while watching films. I like to just watch them, take notes afterwards, let it kind of marinate for a while, really make sure that what I'm thinking is what I want to be thinking. And it really wasn't until about 10 minutes before turning the camera on that I realized there is potentially a major plot hole in this film. I'd have to watch it again before declaring it for sure, but as best I can recollect from what I remember seeing in this film, there's a clue that it leads to a major development in the case. But again, through the flashback, we get to see exactly what did happen the night that this young woman died. And that clue should not exist. Or if it does exist, it's never explained why it does, because it really should have nothing at all to do with the case. Or if it does, it's not explained in the film. And without that clue, they would not have gotten the development that they needed to actually get to where they needed to be at the end of this film. So that's my thoughts on Wind River. It's a well-made film, well-acted film that has some serious plot issues. Just not enough development of the secondary characters, not enough utilization of the setting as far as the characters who are living on this reservation, and just kind of a mediocre mystery. It's not really a mystery. It's a crime thriller that doesn't have a lot of mystery, because they essentially just tell us the answer at the end, and it doesn't really feel like we totally earned it. So it's an alright film. If you like these kind of movies, if you like, crime thrillers, it's probably worth going to see. Like I said, it looks pretty, it's well acted, it's just not a great film. So if you've seen Wind River, what were your thoughts on it? I've already asked you about the particular clue issue, but just in general, what were your thoughts on this movie? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.